Beep.
So, recently I've seen a lot of talk about a potential Super Smash Bros. Movie after Fox McCloud appeared in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Some people liked his inclusion, others felt like it was completely unnecessary. But overall, this movie has quite the reception. I've already seen the movie myself, and while it did have the same pacing and story issues just like the first movie, I feel like I've been well fed and satisfied with the amount of Galaxy content we've been getting outside of the movie, and Fox showing up was just a little bonus. This was more like a junk food movie in my opinion. You know, like Haribo Star Mix. But because Fox was a major character in the movie, and several other non-Mario characters making cameo appearances too, a lot of people have been speculating about the possibility of there being a Smash movie adaptation. And I have to say, no, we do not need a Smash movie. So here's a video essay explaining why I strongly disagree. Putting aside the fact that Shigeru Miyamoto has already said there won't be a Smash movie, that hasn't stopped people from coming up with ideas for one. But there's several major obstacles that would hinder the movie from a filmmaking standpoint. The first one being, this would be an absolute licensing nightmare. So in case you've been living under a rock, Super Smash Bros. Is a massive crossover fighting game series between Nintendo properties and third-party franchises. Naturally, that would mean having to acquire the film rights to several characters. Nintendo has barely just started tapping into the film industry since 2023, and so far they've already gotten 2 Mario movies under Illumination and Universal, and a live-action Zelda movie is currently in the works under Sony. So that would mean Nintendo would have to jump several hurdles to be able to include Zelda characters in a Smash movie, and that is assuming it's under Illumination. And let's be real, Sony has been known to be very stingy with their own IPs. Just look at how much they cling to Spider-Man, and the numerous unnecessary films about Spider-Man villains and other glup shittos, just so they can keep the film rights on the IP under contract. And to even try to acquire the rights to other Nintendo IPs, that would be an even bigger hassle to deal with, especially with Pokemon. Not to mention, if you want to go even further than that and get the rights to use third-party characters like Sonic, you have to fight both Sega and Paramount for the rights, and especially Disney if you want to go as far as including Sora. As of 2026, there have been a total of 89 playable characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the most recent game in the series as of this video, with 20 of them being third-party characters. So imagine fighting tooth and nail like series creator Masahiro Sakurai did to even be able to bring in characters like Solid Snake or Bayonetta or even Steve from Minecraft. I mean, just look at the copyright notice on the title screen for the game. I think realistically, a Smash movie would have to cut several characters from the roster, but then you'll have fanboys whining about their favorites not making it in, so you can't really satisfy everyone. So there's not gonna be any everyone is here business, okay? Which leads us to our next issue with a Smash Bros. Movie. Both Mario movies from Illumination suffer from the same major issue. There's more focus on Easter eggs, fan service, and references over an actual story. Rosalina doesn't even get a whole lot of screen time in Galaxy, but Fox gets more of the spotlight even though he's not a Mario character. Rob and Mr. Game & Watch even get small cameo appearances in the movie, and it makes it even more messy, and that's not even counting all the other non-Galaxy references featured. In a Smash Bros. Movie, it'll just double down on putting the spotlight on every major character that shows up. So if you had a problem with the amount of character cameos in the Mario movies, why would you want a Smash movie when that's all that's gonna be? It'll be like Ready Player One being nothing but pop culture references and character cameos through VR chat. Tenfold the amount of Easter eggs from both Mario movies. Pure fan service. And with so many characters, the plot would have to be extremely engaging to even justify a crossover of this magnitude. And you know what kind of bugs me when people just call every Nintendo crossover Smash Bros. When it's just meant to be silly little references or just characters showing up as guests like in Mario Kart Deluxe? Not everything is Smash Bros. But then a lot of people just want it to be Subspace Emissary all over again. I'd rather just watch a cutscene compilation on YouTube, but then again, Sakurai hates the very idea of watching cutscenes uploaded to the internet. Probably the pettiest and dumbest thing he's done. But I digress. I think Subspace Emissary is an okay story mode in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but I wouldn't consider it a masterpiece in writing. And then for Ultimate, you have the World of Light story, but there's hardly any story aside from the intro cutscene and the, spoiler alert, Darkon story that makes up the second half of the mode. You all just want an Avengers-style crossover like it's Infinity War. And it wouldn't be Smash Brothers if everyone wasn't smashing each other.
Hey, phrasing!
It would just be called Super Team Up Bros instead. But at least with Marvel, they had time to set everything up and give their characters proper development, their own solo movies first before pulling off a major event like Avengers 1. And even then, they started off small with a simple team-up mission. But in Smash Brothers' case, there just wouldn't be enough time to properly introduce each character, not like Fox's little intro in Galaxy. Especially since a lot of the game's roster aren't well known in their own franchises outside of Smash, like Captain Falcon, or Ness and Lucas, or a vast majority of the Fire Emblem characters.
Who are you again?
Marvel made sure everything felt connected to let the audience know this is all set in the same universe, but for Nintendo's IPs, they're all separated universes with little references to their IPs in between, and a lot of them already clash in tone and world building. When you look at the main settings for Subspace Emissary and World of Light, it's just a generic plain fantasy looking world that doesn't really have its own identity, yet somehow the entire character roster is all together in it. They're just there. No explanation. There really isn't a whole lot of lore behind it all. Though here it implies that all the characters are just living trophies that can be brought to life in what's basically a world of trophies, or spirits in Ultimate's case. Despite that, I actually do enjoy seeing how each character interacts with one another. I think that's where Smash shines the best, even if it's in battle or in a cutscene. And that's basically how it went for the MCU, especially the Avengers movies.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. Then I am Spider-Man.
I know I'm griping about not wanting a Smash movie a lot, but there is a silver lining here, and it's all about seeing how different characters from different backgrounds, different worlds, walks of life, just seeing how they would react to each other and how much their worlds differ or are similar to each other. I'm not against crossovers, I actually enjoy them as much as the next guy. It just feels like people want to jump right into Smash too soon, and that's exactly how the DCEU, Scoob, and the Dark Universe all failed because they put more focus on setting up a larger universe instead of propping up their own characters by themselves in standalone movies first. It's just gonna end up looking like a Pooh's Adventure poster that's just chock full of characters and none of them are Winnie the Pooh.
Who's putting all this in the bin? How many portions are you putting in there? How much is in the bin? Look! Look! What the?
While it would be cool to see everyone show up like the portal scene in Endgame, it's not gonna happen. Not in a million years. And the biggest issue I have with the idea of a Smash movie is just the overall idea itself. The very concept of Smash Brothers is literally hitting action figures together, as it was shown in the original game's intro, and shown even further in Melee's intro with the trophies coming to life, and again in Brawl with Subspace Emissary. So essentially, every single character that's playable in Smash Brothers is a toy, and toys are meant to be played with, especially when you look at each character's movesets. I don't see how there would be any build-up leading to that when not a single character in the Galaxy movie was shown to have any beef with anyone. And if they were implied to be trophies, then they're completely separate entities from their original counterparts. I think Smash should just stay as a video game so that way you can still be able to play as your favorite characters, like they're toys. That's also why Master Hand and Crazy Hand are bosses in the games. They're simply just hands playing with toys, and the perspective is from the toys' point of view. That's why Nintendo's Amiibo line got so popular in the first place since it was introduced alongside Smash 4. And to this day, Amiibo figures are still being produced for other games. The only way I see a Smash Brothers story working in this way is like that awful Smash 4 Amiibo ad. You know the one, with the kid trying to win over his crush by training an Amiibo. I'd probably turn it into a Saturday morning shonen monster battling anime, but make it less cringe.
My name is Kentaro Sakurai, and me and my amiibo Kirby are gonna be the very best Smash fighters like no one ever was! But to become champion, I have to defeat my rival, Hoshi Kitsune and his amiibo Fox!
You can't beat me! You are a third-rate smasher with a fourth-rate amiibo! Smell you later!
I'm out! Hiya! 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 I'm out!
Never mind, sounds dumb already. But yeah, it just wouldn't feel the same if you can't play as any of the characters in some capacity, and Smash also presents itself as like an interactive museum of gaming history with the amount of trophies and spirits you can collect between all the games that give you a little glimpse about every fighter's universe. And I'm the kind of person who prefers museums that are more hands-on. It wouldn't really be the same if you turned it into a movie, because you wouldn't really be able to interact with it at all. You're just watching. So yeah, that's why I think a Smash Bros. Movie would be a dumb idea. Just because Fox is a major character in the Super Mario Galaxy movie doesn't mean there's gonna be a Nintendo Cinematic Universe or an Avenger-style team-up. Plus, it would be extremely difficult to be able to secure the rights to several major characters in Smash just to even have a large roster. Even then, if a Smash movie ever did get made, I feel like Masahiro Sakurai should be the one making the choice and calling the shots. This is just my personal opinion. Would I like to see Nintendo characters interact with each other? Of course. I think it would be a fun way to get some new character dynamics going. But yeah, I don't think it would work well as a movie, judging by how things went with the Mario Galaxy movie. So, did you agree or disagree with this video? What would be your idea for a Smash movie? Please leave a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and click that bell. The one last question remains. What was the real reason for Fox's inclusion in the movie? Holy!
Ta-da! The sequel!
Shut up, Flower.